Nelson for welcoming me so many times on the dozens of visits that I've made here, and really do appreciate these kinds of debates. Mr. Clark, we always disagree respectfully, and I've got to tell you I strongly disagree with your last statement. You think that poor people have a lot more power than I do. I think rich people have a lot of power. And if you look at Wall Street's influence on this, they were part of writing these bills to begin with. This was not just some compassionate giveaway to the poor. This was people at the top believing this was a whole new market they could break into and make trillions of dollars on. And when the crash came, these people were not being forced to buy any mortgage-backed securities. It was an incredible opportunity for them. A very small number of people figured out to short it, but the ability to hedge on this, the ability to get into this market, and to do so in what seemed risk-free to them, because if you cut it up into enough derivatives and put it together, you could buy this stuff up. And it wasn't just America's Wall Street, it was Japanese pension funds and Germans and others. This was a boondoggle to folks at the high end. And often, yes, some people at the bottom got houses that maybe they didn't deserve. What was more often was that they got stuck with a mortgage that has put them onto a cycle of bankruptcy. Again, I think the real power in Washington is from the top down, not from the bottom up. And that's the problem. And I think that's where we are right now. I don't want to sit around and wait for cold fusion to happen. I don't want to sit around and wait for the Chinese to invent the next big thing so that we can import it. I'm sick of it. I want us to make it here in America again. I want us to be the first to crack the clean energy economy in the same way we were the first to the moon. I still think we're better at innovation and entrepreneurship than every other country. And we don't get it from sitting on our rear ends. We don't get it from saying, well, we've got to do nothing. If you look in Southside, the investments, starting with Governor Warner in broadband technology, are the reason that Microsoft just committed to a $500 million investment in Southside, Virginia. I was in there today at the Institute for Advanced Learning in Danville, where we're taking tobacco farmers and we're growing the crops of the future that are making our country stronger, working with dairy farmers and poultry farmers to turn waste product into energy. That's a great American value, not only because it's innovation, but I learned from my grandparents who lived through the Great Depression. They were the original environmentalists because they didn't want to waste anything after living through the Depression. They could reuse a piece of tinfoil about 37 times, forget recycling. They would just reuse it over and over again. That's the kind of thinking that I think we're right on the cusp of. You talked about Martinsville unemployment. We make the best window films in the world. We're exporting those to Asia. And if we made the kinds of incentives like Homestar and Rural Star that I fought for, it could unleash tremendous efficiency gains. Every senior citizen on a fixed income could see dramatic reductions in their electric bills. Every business that is looking to compete. And they're hiring people out of high school and out of trade school at a decent wage, nearly twice the minimum wage. That's a big deal for us to make things here. Other countries aren't waiting around. If we were living in some libertarian paradise where every other country was just sitting on their hands too, it would be one thing. But the other countries aren't. We're competing against countries that are making major investments, in some cases subsidies, of particular sectors and particular industries. And, as you noted, we've been backing ludicrous trade deals. Not that we aren't going to be in the global economy, but we've been unilaterally disarming America's competitive advantage in these deals, which is why I'm so shocked that Senator Hurd has been supportive of these very deals that have crushed industry in his area. And we see today, I think, an important issue. Mr. Clark and I obviously disagree on the issue of where this problem came from, but we agree on the fact that we need citizens engaged right now. And when you look at Senator Hurd avoiding this to go to Texas, it goes deeper than just missing a debate. If two of our biggest problems in Washington are, one, the elites not getting it, that we need to start making it in America again, and two, corruption. He's going to an event co-sponsored by one of the guys that supported the very trade deals and everything else, led the charge, and protecting the outsourcing loophole. We need people who get it for the working and middle class and protect those jobs in America and care whether that job is in America, in Central Virginia, in Southern Virginia. And corruption. The other co-host is very close to Jack Abramoff. I think he's the only friend that's still in there, in fact, and has been often listed as one of the most corrupt members of Congress. Now, if you're already associating with those people before you even get to Washington, imagine how unlikely it is that someone's going to really fight against those corporate interest groups in Washington and stand up for everyday folks. I have been proud to fight. I am a fighter. My Irish grandfather was a boxer, as well as a Navy man, and I like to fight when I'm standing for the people. I am more than happy to take the hits from these interest groups that have been up with the negative ads against me, because I know that they've been a big part of the problem. capitalism itself is under threat because these interest groups are standing in the way of the real competition and innovation that comes from small business and comes from Main Street. I will keep fighting for you.